Hello and welcome to the Student Hub Live Refreshers event. This is to welcome new students to the Open University, and it's the chance for current students to be part of an academic community, share your ideas and advice, and generally have a good old get-together, pick up some skills and see what's happening in the world of academia. Now, we've got a really jam-packed programme today, and this is our library hour, when we're going to take a look at referencing and false news, some very important issues for students for a variety of reasons. But if you're new, let me just explain briefly how it all works. There's a watch and engage button from the website, which is the best way to watch. Now, you log in using your student details, and then you can engage in the chat, you can ask questions, you can talk about what you've had for breakfast, and you can also vote using our interactive tools. And you'll see some of those coming up on the screen. So we'd like to know where you are, how you're feeling right now, which level you're studying, which area you're studying in, and if you've been to one of these events beforehand. If you fill those in, you can just open the widget, select the item that applies to you, and then close it, and those results will submit. And when you submit them, you'll see what other people have put in. If, however, there's a word cloud and we say, how are you feeling right now? And there's only 2 things you might be feeling instead of 3, just put a full stop for that third one so that the results can submit. Now, this is all about a live interactive event, and it's all about your voice. So our audience are fed through into our studio. We will attempt to answer any questions, and if we can't answer them, we will get back to you. And the people feeding that in are sitting on our hot desk. And today we have Sophie and HJ at the start of the session. Welcome both. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Yes, all good, all ready for today, definitely. All ramped up from yesterday and the quiz.
And the quiz,
So
yes.
hopefully nice chilled one today.
And I'm very pleased to see you have a colour-coordinated effect going on there, the pair of you. Ivan will be joining us at times as well. Now, you're both students. HJ, you must be looking forward to the politics session this afternoon.
Oh, yes, definitely. I'm absolutely bursting for this one, and a few people in the chat are as well. And I think we're all excited and ready to go. Kate and Angel says, hello, librarians, so that's hello from them. But yes, raring to go for that one.
And Sophie, what are you most looking forward to? I bet it's the maths session.
I am a little bit, yes, although actually I am interested in the politics one. I think that'll be really fun and a good debate going on, I hope. So I'm also looking forward to that one as well.
Yeah, we've got loads on today. I'm going to be talking to lots and lots of different people about areas like keeping yourself cared for during your studies. We've got some really nice tutor sessions as well, so about managing your tutor effectively and making them work the best that they can for you. Tutor Q&A sessions this evening. We're doing politics and religion as well. So there's lots and lots on, and you can find out all about those sessions on the website. If you miss anything or need to nip out, you can watch it on the catch-up and it'll be available shortly after. But now let's take a look at referencing. And I'm joined by Catherine Moore and Wendy Chambers. Thank you for coming along. Now, referencing is a subject that all students often comment as the main source of anxiety and something that they often need help with. It's a fundamental academic skill, and I'm told that you're here to sort it out for once and for all.
That's right. We'd like to have a look at some of the referencing myths and talk about the why, the when and the how to reference, and hopefully provide some clarification. So can I start with asking Catherine for her first referencing myth? Catherine is our librarian, and she has been our librarian for many years.
You're not pulling it off very well. Come on.
Right, I'll do the voice too.
Only students reference. There's little point to it. I only help with it to break the monotony of shelving.
Well, Catherine, I think we need to discuss why you should reference. There's probably 3 main reasons you should reference. First of all, you must acknowledge the work of others you use in your assignments. You acknowledge the work to avoid plagiarism, and that's passing off the work of others without acknowledging the source. So that's the main point. I think the second point is giving details of the sources you use actually provides support to the arguments in your essay. And an expert opinion will emphasise the points you make in your arguments. And finally, giving details of the sources you use enables your tutor to follow it up, to look the source, and other readers and colleagues may want to investigate the topic further, and they can find that source from the reference. So there's 3 main reasons you should reference. And you did mention it's only in academic work. Now, that's not actually the case, as I think you're probably aware.
Yeah, so yes, obviously in your day-to-day life, if you're any sort of job that you're in that you need to write reports for, you are going to need to back up your points with other things rather than just your opinion. So it's not just so the skill of referencing kind of goes throughout everything really. And indeed picking up on other people's references, making sure you're reading credible things is, you know, really important in this strange post-truth world we live in.
You mentioned reports which you might want to write in the workplace. Wikipedia, for example, will always have references, and if the articles aren't properly referenced, they may well be removed or flagged as inadequate. If you're writing a blog, social media, and you're using someone else's work, you should reference that source. News articles, a credible news article which may refer to a research report. Facts bad for you, facts good for you. That research is often published in a journal, and a credible news article will reference that source. Similarly, with any statistics at the site, it should be referenced. So, do you have another referencing myth for us, Catherine?
Referencing is the be-all and end-all. Everything you write must have a reference.
Right. This brings us to when to reference. No, you don't have to reference everything you write. If you use the work of others, ideas, quotations, statistics, you should provide a reference to that material. But, for example, you don't need to reference your own ideas, your own experience, or what we refer to as common knowledge.
So I suppose maybe explaining common knowledge is probably a good thing to do here. So things that you find normally within your module textbooks, and especially if you're starting off at level 1, that's really what you're going to be reading. If you find things in your module textbooks that don't have references within them, then those aren't going to need a reference because it's considered common knowledge within your subject. So sort of obvious examples would be the world is round does not require a reference, you know, it's just
or
not needed.
perhaps Usain Bolt holds the world record for 100 metres, the dates of the Second World War. It's a type of information that you expect most people would know or could find in a general encyclopedia rather than a specialist encyclopedia. And I think it's also subject specific. Perhaps not so much at level 1, but as you progress through your studies and perhaps get to level 2, level 3, what might be common knowledge in environmental science might not be common knowledge to other people. So you do also need to think about your audience when you decide what's common knowledge. But if in doubt, provide a reference, I would say.
Yes. Or indeed, if you are having problems working out what's common knowledge within your subjects, then your tutors will be invaluable at that point. But sorry, moving on to third.
Another myth from Catherine.
Right. I have created this huge guide that I expect every single student to know by heart and to recite when asked.
Ah, yes, the OU Harvard Guide. This
Double printed as well.
Yes, double-sided. Oh, yeah. And I mean, and understandably, students do get a bit like, oh my God, it's huge, and I have to know all of it. Ah, that's horrible. And I mean, it would be horrible if we expected you to know all of it, but we don't. I mean, we don't know all of it ourselves and aren't expected to. The important thing about it is that you know how to find the parts of it you need, and that's the parts you read.
So it really helps with the how to reference.
Yes. You know.
So there are different referencing styles, and the OU Harvard Guide is one of the styles, and most modules at the Open University use the OU Harvard style. So when producing an academic assignment or even referencing the world, you will need to provide an in-text citation,
which we do have, slightly Blue Peter style. Sorry, guys.
but this is an example of an in-text citation, and it refers to a page in this book. So here we have the author, the date and the page number. And this is because this particular student has referred to some information about ice fish in this book on page 75. So if Catherine turns over, we will see an example of the reference, the detail which you would put at the end of your assignment. So the in-text citation goes in at the point where you're referring to that particular material. And at the end of the list, you will have, end of your assignment, you will have an alphabetical list with the details of the reference. So you have the author, the date, the book title and the publication. So a reader or a tutor should be able to go and look at the source from that information. And you'd find that information from this book. And in most cases, if we open the page, you will find the publication and the date and who the publisher is. So that's looking at how you reference. So when I was a student, when I was an undergraduate student, which was some time ago, life was quite simple. I mainly used journal articles and books. Education, teaching is a lot richer. There's a huge range of sources which are used in teaching. And that's partly why the OU Harvard Guide to Citing References is so large. There are so many different examples of referencing, and you will find the examples in there.
Yeah, I mean, the point about the size is not to get hung up on it. It's to treat it like you would a dictionary or an encyclopedia. You'd expect it to be big because it covers a lot, but you wouldn't expect to start at entry A and read to entry Z. That would be craziness. So, you know, you're unlikely to need every single referencing type in an assignment, but in one assignment you may really need the help on referencing blogs, and another assignment actually much more standard, or your referencing is articles, so you only follow one section. And yeah, the section that we don't know by heart, but every single librarian will tell you, referencing module materials is section 7 of the OU Harvard Guide, because that's the one we use all the time. And is absolutely very, very helpful for students. Would recommend having that printed out, or at least favorited.
The main thing that students are using, isn't it? The module material references.
Yes.
So either the books or the multimedia material in a lot of cases.
Particularly at level 1. I think as students get to level 2, level 3, they will be going out and doing some more independent research and having to reference different types of sources.
Yeah.
Yes, which is, yes, why it's large. But yeah, level 1, section 7, and you're probably done.
And what do you do if the type of source isn't actually in there, Catherine? Because we have had some interesting inquiries on the help desk from students. For example, they wanted to reference a gravestone,
Yes.
I believe, for example.
Despite being vast, the OU Harvard Guide doesn't quite manage to cover everything, but it does cover sort of the main sources. But so, yes, if you find something that isn't in the OU Harvard Guide, the good news is you have carte blanche to make it up, which can scare some students. But we do have on the library website, in the help and support section, a page that says what to do if your reference type isn't in the OU Harvard Guide. And it goes through the main things that you need to think about. So normally what the thing you're looking at is, the type of thing, so have gravestone in there somewhere in this case, a title for it, and for something like a physical object that you're visiting, so like maybe a gravestone or a painting, where it is and when you found it. But it does go through all those things that you might need to think about. And so long as you have enough information that your tutor who's ever reading your assignment can find it, that's the important thing. Nothing else really matters at that point, especially for stuff that isn't in the OU Harvard Guide. So it's definitely not a reason to panic if it's not in the OU Harvard Guide. It's ooh, I get to have fun with this one.
Make it up.
Exactly.
But use a format or an example in the guide.
And if that is concerning you, then call the library help desk, because there's almost nothing we like more than a really, wow, I've never referenced this before question.
Okay, Catherine. Do
Yes,
you have any more myths for us?
I do have some more myths. Right. Oh dear, we've possibly already debunked this one, but never mind. The most important thing ever is how your reference looks. If you haven't quadruple checked the type of bracket you're using, you will be instantly accused of plagiarism.
Well, Catherine, I think putting references in is much more important than the actual format. So the most important thing about referencing is acknowledging your source. I think regarding the detail, again, the most important thing is, can someone else find that information, find that source from the information you provide? So if you provide as much information as possible. Most modules recommend a particular style, and I do think you should make an effort to follow the format of that style, but don't get over anxious about commas and full stops. They're not hugely important. And as you reference, you won't need to check. You won't need to keep checking.
No, you do naturally get a feel for it. But it is really easy to get hung up on this stuff, which is why we're bothering including it as a myth, because students do phone us in absolute panics and you just go, no, really, it's okay. I also think it is worth just mentioning plagiarism here, because it is something that does unnecessarily worry students. So if you have been incredibly naughty and gone to the internet and bought your answer from a site or another student, then you will be accused of plagiarism, and that is a great big no-no, and obviously the OU has to go. Don't do that. If you get so worried about referencing that you just don't put any references in and say this is all my own work because I just got too scared to reference, then that is also technically a plagiarism, but will be treated differently, and you will be assisted to, help you get through the assignment and make sure you reference. If you use the wrong type of bracket, or forget to put the publisher's name in, or you couldn't find the place of publication, or you couldn't find an author, that is not plagiarism. That's just accidentally making a mistake, and that's fine. And again, because it's the end of assignments, students can get very stressed about, but what if I don't get every single mark for referencing? Well, actually, there are not that many marks available for referencing, in all honesty. And normally, if you have done everything else with your references, i.e. you've put them all in and there's enough of information for your tutor to find it, you will get all the marks available for referencing, especially at level 1, because, really at level 1, the important thing is, well done, you realise you needed to
and
reference.
the tutors will be giving you some support. They'll be providing feedback on your first assignments to assist you.
So when tutors are maybe correcting errors and commas and brackets, people shouldn't really interpret that as that they've done it all wrong. It's maybe the tutor just trying to guide them, just to get the right conventions in place early on, isn't it?
It's teaching them, really providing assistance.
Yes, it's not a you're in trouble, you've done this wrong.
No.
It's very much a help.
But there is a point sometimes in modules where if you don't put any references in, it does cap the marks that you can really generate, which is why it's so important.
To make an effort, to provide as much information as you have. And that's why it's so important as you writing your assignment, doing your research, to record the sources that you find. So you don't get to that point the evening before you submit and you think, where did I find that?
Yeah.
So it is really important to be organised about it and record that information.
Some of my very organised students use post-it notes and just chuck the reference on it so that then they can remember where it came from. I like that idea.
One way of doing
Like
it.
that.
Do we have time for another list?
We certainly do, yes.
Yay! Okay, right. Okay, so I wholeheartedly disapprove of any referencing software. It always gives perfect references, and frankly, it's cheating.
Well, referencing management software, there are various tools available, the free tools, and you can use these to store your references as you're doing your research, manage them, and they will output the references in a particular style. So they won't output in the OU Harvard style, you will have to tweak them to fit the style. So they can be useful tools. I would recommend them for level 3 postgraduate students. At level 1, you're probably not using enough references to warrant the use of the tools. But some students like to do them, some students like to use them in their everyday life. So there are options. And you don't have to use them. For example, Library Search, which is the library's main searching tool, it has a bookshelf, so you can store references there or keep record of the sources that you're using.
And Library Search will also, if you found an item there, will also, if you go into the options, will give you a reference for it. Now, as we said, with using a reference management tool, you're guaranteed to sort of tweak it a tiny bit, but actually all the information you have will already be there, and they can just be pasted into your assignment documents.
Yeah.
Well, if you find that easiest, but it really is up to you.
So where would students find out more about the reference management tools?
Absolutely. So on the library website, again within the help and support section of the library website, there is a page called Bibliographic Management, which does talk about the main referencing tools available, both free and paid, and gives you sorts of little summaries. Now, whilst the library specifically doesn't say, use this referencing tool, it's brilliant, because each student's referencing needs are different. So as a way of helping, what we do is we have that page which describes when you might find these tools useful, but we also run a OU Live training session, an online training session for students to help them choose which reference management tool they might like to use, and indeed if they do really want to use one. So that session is run regularly and there is a recording of it. If you do want to attend that session, if you go to the Training and Events tab on the library website, you will see when that session is coming up. You'll also see all the other sessions that the OU Library gives. The next one is on the 4th of February.
Well remembered.
Yeah, well, I probably should be remembering it as I'm giving it, and I will remember that I'm working on a Saturday, really will do. So 10 o'clock, 4th of February for an introduction to the library, but then obviously there are all the other sessions we run on that page.
And there's also Being Digital. This is these are the collection of the bite-sized activities covering a range of topics, finding information, but also referencing. So there is information on why to reference and also some information on the reference management tools there.
Yeah, and Being Digital is great for level 1 students because it really is bite-sized fun activities on lots of library things, but does have sort of a section called referencing, so it's really easy to find. And Being Digital you can access via the library website, but to be honest, I find it 100% easier just to go to Google and type Being Digital and access it that way. You'll get exactly the same content. Yes, okay. Fine.
Okay.
Other students will type faster than me. Okay.
Do you have a last myth for us, Catherine?
I do have one last myth. Okay, so we insist that students use on some modules referencing styles other than the OU Harvard Guide, just to irritate students on the Open Degree programme.
I think that's a myth which we can probably dispel now. Undergraduate modules, there has been a push for all modules to use the Open University Harvard style for that reason, to make it simpler for students. At postgraduate levels, for example, some modules may use the psychology, will use American Psychological Association, and arts modules will use their own specific styles.
And there is a really good reason that they do that. That's because within those academic disciplines, those are standard styles, and the OU would be really missing the mark if it taught a postgraduate degree in that subject without introducing those styles. And it's sort of on the odd occasion that you will find different referencing styles creeping into undergraduate study. It's for exactly the same reason. It's because the referencing style is essential for the subject that's being taught. And whilst I can understand it, it would be really daunting if you were if you were an open degree student, all of a sudden to be faced with a different referencing style. It isn't just to be mean. It really is because it's sort of essential to what we teach. But if you are finding that you're just going, I've never used this referencing style before and it's hideous, there is always help. I mean, on your module website in the assessment guidance, what style you're following should be really, really, really clear from there. But also the library help desk, we mentioned them before, they are always happy to help. I mean, we're always happy to help full stop, but we are always happy to help with referencing and do understand that if all of a sudden you're faced with a different referencing style, it can be quite...
And always consult your tutor as well.
Yes,
tutors are
yes,
more than happy to help. So, Catherine, I hope I've dispelled some of your myths, or you've dispelled some of your own myths about reference. And it's a little bit clearer about why you should reference, when you should reference, and how to reference. And as Catherine mentioned, we do have a lot of support in place, our guide, the library help desk, and module websites. So, Kath,
Thank you both. That's been a very comprehensive guide. I'm very impressed with how much you've managed to fit in. So thank you. And it's such an important thing. And I think you've identified the really key things. Your tutor's there to help you. The library are there to help. It's important to get the hang of it. And it's important not only to get the conventions right, but also to be able to cite your sources so that you're acknowledging they're not your own views, which people should be doing most of the time because they're mainly writing about the module material, aren't they? Especially at level 1. So thank you. I really do appreciate you coming along. Well, there's information on the resources page, but before we end this session to go to another library session, I'd just like to take a trip to the hot desk. HJ and Sophie, are there any outstanding questions or have we covered it all?
Well, we have been having a few problems in the chat, so apologies there. If we have missed anything at all, please do drop us an email, studenthub@open.ac.uk, or you can tweet us as well, and we will try and get on that as soon as possible. I know that when I do maths, so I do that for the specific reason of not having to reference. But I know when I did, it was actually gauging what sort of was what document was what, things like that. So if you do have any questions, I'm sure the library team will be more than happy to help. But like I said, if you did miss us, please tweet us or email us, studenthub@open.ac.uk.
Have you got anything to say, HJ? You seem very quiet. I know this referencing has terrified you in the past.
No, but I think a lot of people found this session helpful. We were talking about there's a few people doing their TMAs at the moment and trying to get their referencing just right. So I'm sure this has been very helpful. And as Kate said, by the time she got level 2, and it's just about practice, and it finally clicked, and she got into the habit of knowing where to find things and the different resources to help her with referencing. So all good.
If you're ever really stuck, some of my students will just email me and say, is this right? This paragraph, have I done it right? And I'll say, yes, or you need to cite this source here. And, if they don't do it right, it's all a learning process, isn't it? And some aspects are a little bit questionable about, how many times you should maybe cite the same author in a paragraph, etc. But have a go, isn't it? And your tutor will help you.
and don't panic.
Yes, referencing isn't about trying to trip you up. It really is about trying to help. I think that's what we
No, absolutely. All right, well, we're going to show you a few videos on our break before we're back with some more library stuff. So we're going to show you some library videos in this break. We're going to talk about a Bob video and then some additional content there as well. And then we're going to be talking about fake news, a very topical subject, because the library don't just do things like help you with referencing and help you find literature. They also do a lot of digital literacy, which is another important aspect. So we're going to come back and talk about that in 5 minutes. We'll see you soon.